its complexities and mystical jargon, pro football's most important doctrine is simple and direct. Hit harder than you get hit. Today in Cleveland, a dramatically improved Browns defense showed from the first play of the game that it was primed for an all-out effort in destruction. Dallas's famed defensive platoon had most of the credentials, but Cleveland led the NFL in interceptions, and cornerback Mike Howell quickly came up with the kind of opportunism that has been the hallmark of the team all season. Cleveland's offense has gained most of the recognition, and today this explosive force was bolstered by the return of star flanker Gary Collins, who was injured most of the season. Another aerial target is all-pro end Paul Warfield, who was robbed of a TD on this play by Mel Renfro. However, Don Cockcroft's 38-yard field goal put Cleveland on the scoreboard first, 3-0. The next time they had the ball, quarterback Bill Nelson again took advantage of Collins' presence in the lineup. Another look at the reception shows what distinguishes Collins from other flankers, his size and the ability to hang on to the ball despite rough treatment. On the next play, Nelson was double blitzed by linebackers Leroy Jordan and Chuck Howley, who forced a fumble. Howley, one of the fastest linebackers in the league, had only 44 yards of daylight ahead of him. Ironically, it was a similar play that beat Cleveland with Frank Ryan at the helm in the regular season game between these two teams. Another look shows Nelson never saw what hit him as he cocked his arm to throw. Dallas was now out in front, 7-3. If Cleveland's offense sputtered in the first half, the Cowboys was practically non-existent. At times, there seemed to be as many white shirts as blue in the Cowboys' backfield. Cleveland's defensive strategy was to attack the quarterback, as Don Meredith was painfully made aware. When he wasn't being pounded to the ground, he was pressured into desperate heaves, far wide of any target. Cleveland's offense wasn't doing much better. Despite the fact his line had afforded him the best pass protection in the league this year, Nelson was scrambling more than he enjoyed. And the bomb to Warfield again was thwarted by the same speedy Renfro. Then a pass deflected by Bob Lilly was grabbed by linebacker Edwards, and Dallas had the ball on the Cleveland 33. A Don Perkins draw on one of the few successful running plays of the day gained good yardage and put the Texans in good scoring position. But the determined Cleveland defense forced Dallas to settle for a 16-yard field goal and a 10-3 lead. Nelson tried to hit Warfield once again with the long pass, but the fleet end, who was having his finest year, was effectively double-teamed. So Nelson returned to the medium-range passes he has employed so successfully this year. Watch Warfield fake his defender out of an additional 9 yards on this play. Nelson then went to huge Milt Morin over the middle for 18 yards. He capped this 85-yard drive with a 46-yard pass to Leroy Kelly, who hauled it in with no one but an official more than 10 yards near him. On the play, the Browns flooded the right side with receivers. Kelly, who stole into the secondary, should have been picked up by the weak side linebacker as he waited in isolation for Nelson's high floater to come down. The half ended with the score tied at 10 apiece. Kelly's TD shocker had tied the score for Cleveland, but more importantly, they began the second half with momentum on their side. Cowboy coach Tom Landry had predicted defense would make the difference in this game, and he was correct. But it was Cleveland's alert defense that turned the game around, and it happened on the first play. Linebacker Dale Lindsey was in the right spot at the right time, and this is how heroes are made. The Browns were suddenly a touchdown ahead. The sticky-fingered Browns secondary didn't have long to wait for their next chance for glory, as on the next series. Ben Davis hauled in a deflected pass intended for Renzel. The Cleveland sweep is designed to spring Leroy Kelly, and it worked to perfection as the league's leading runner and scorer ran and scored. The ground camera shows the key blocks were by number 73, Monty Clark, on the cornerback, and downfield by number 54, center Fred Hoagland, on the safety. In the space of 2 minutes, the underdog Browns had zoomed to a 14-point lead. In an effort to generate some spark, Landry inserted Craig Morton at quarterback, and the difference was immediately discernible. Rolling left, he hit Renzel for 14 yards. And then found him again, wide open down the opposite sideline for 48 yards deep in Cleveland territory. But on this day, it mattered little who was quarterbacking. Despite the varied and complex Dallas formations, the Browns' recognition and reaction was nearly automatic and almost always effective, as Captain Jim Houston illustrates. Morton, under terrific pressure in his backfield, barely got this toss off. Houston muffed a certain interception. After a penalty pushed them back, Morton, with 270-pound Jim Kanicki on his back, somehow unloaded a pass to Pettis Norman that put the club in field goal range. And Mike Clark made the long kick good. Browns 24, Dallas 13. The next time they had the ball, Don Perkins fought for a nice gain, just as the quarter ended. Then Morton pitched to Renzel, slanting over the middle, and it appeared as if Dallas was finally moving. Middle linebacker Bob Matheson plugged a hole to stop Bainham for no gain. And the 11-year veteran Erich Barnes triumphantly applied the clincher, the Browns' fourth interception. It was the Browns' offense who finally went into high gear when they most needed it. Kelly, with his incredible starting speed, shot through the middle for 18 yards. Milt Morin, who has become one of the fine tight ends in the game, took a short pitch and went down begrudgingly. On 3rd and 1, Nelson disdained the obvious and gambled with a long pass to Warfield off a play action. It worked for 39 yards and a very big first down. Next, Nelson went to Morin despite tight coverage, and he hung on at the 2-yard line. Behind near perfect blocking, Ernie Green skirted right end for the score that put it out of reach. Nelson's choice for the play was appropriate, since the valuable Green's role has been limited this year due to a severe knee injury. Dallas scored a meaningless touchdown in the waning seconds of the game to bring the final score to 31-20. The Cleveland Browns had won the Eastern Division title, and in doing so had decisively beaten a team experts had chosen as successor to Green Bay's Packers. They proved that an earlier win over the Baltimore Colts was no accident. That victory came after a faltering start and was the catalyst for a string of 8 straight impressive victories, a streak that can be nothing less than a testimonial to their coach, Blanton Collier. He replaced one of the proven quarterbacks in the NFL with one who had never played with a winner, and he overcame a succession of injuries to key performers. He did this, and at the same time upheld the Browns' tradition as the winningest team in pro football.